Why are goals important? Goals are important because if you don't know where you're going, you're probably never going to get there, basically. That's a really easy way of explaining it. If you never set out to do something, you know what you want to create, then guess what? You're not going to have a good chance of ever getting there, because you're going to say, I'm just doing all this activity, I'm taking a lot of action, but I really don't know what I'm really in it for. And so when it comes to goals, we want to have the SMART methodology is really the best way to define a goal, okay? S stands for specific, okay? So we'll talk about these individually. I'm just going to break down what they are. Measurable is M. Attainable or action-oriented, okay, is for A, and realistic is for R, and timely is basically for T. Now, basically, guys, these are pretty simple, pretty commonsensical, but just let me give you a little more explanation for those that don't know what these things even really mean. So specific is like, you know what, if I say I want to work in real estate investing, I want to be a real estate investor, okay, that's great. But what do you specifically want to get done in real estate investing? I want to wholesale this many deals by this date, for instance. That's really more of a culmination of these different ideas here. But let's say specific is I want to wholesale in real estate investing. I want to fix and flip in real estate investing. I want to buy and hold in real estate investing. I want to focus on generating leads. I want to focus on closing deals. I want to focus on dealing with buyers. I want to focus on networking. Whatever those goals are, I want to focus on getting myself in better shape, right? And specifically, how much do you want to lose in weight? How much do you want to gain in strength? That's how, a goal you might have in a personal life. So these are specific things you want to lay out, very specific. Again, when you specifically create a goal, when you create a very specific goal, it's going to emotionally attach you to that goal, to the outcome you're looking to create. It's going to get you excited about it usually, and motivates you. When you're not specific, it's just something that's like kind of up in the air, like it's just something that might exist, but it might never happen. We don't really know how to make it specific enough. Measurable, okay, measurable is like things that are quantifiable. So a quantifiable goal is something that has a number usually attached to it, or a way you can measure whether or not it happened. So yes, it did happen, no, it didn't happen. Or hey, I want to achieve this many deals to close. I want to make this much money in this business. I want to, lose this much weight or gain this much muscle mass or whatever it might be. Lose this much body fat if you're looking at health. That's a measurable thing, right? So we want to make sure that the goals we're setting are measurable, okay? And we want to make sure they're attainable and action-oriented. So is this something that you can really take action towards? That's really the most important for me. Action, right? Action is everything. If you don't take action, we could have all the time here spent every week talking to each other, but if you just show up to this meeting or this weekly event and watch the videos and never go out there and do anything with this information, you're not going to have the achievement of your goal, okay? Maybe if your goal is to show up here every week, which is a great goal, but if your goal is bigger than that, which I think it should be and it probably is, then you're not going to have the action-oriented approach and you're not going to achieve what you set out for. So action-oriented is really the way I prefer to use A in the SMART methodology, okay? But attainable is another way to put it as well. And attainable, you can actually kind of tie together with realistic, okay? R for realistic. So again, action-oriented, just to kind of close it out, is taking action. Means not just thinking about doing something, not just considering doing, not just coming up with a plan, but actually going out there and doing it. Execution is another way to say action, okay? Realistic, okay, that just means that is what I'm setting out for actually something that is possible. Is it possible to achieve, let's say, $100,000 a year in real estate investing in your first year of business? Yes, it's possible actually. Is it possible to achieve $100 million as a wholesale investor in one state in your first year? Probably not, right? It's definitely not. It's not really possible. I mean, if you know a way to do that, let me know, but I'm pretty sure it's not possible to achieve that kind of results. So realistic is important because when you set unrealistic goals, it's kind of like Tony Robbins says, when you don't have a standard, when you have a standard as perfection or an unrealistic standard, it's really the worst kind of standard to have, or the worst kind of goal to have, because it's unrealistic to happen. It's just like not having a standard at all, basically. So if you have no standard whatsoever, if you have a perfection standard, like I want to achieve the perfect world, I want to make myself so wealthy that I never have to think about money, I want to do that all in this year or this month. That's not realistic, and in fact, it's almost like you're not even really creating a goal, you're just kind of talking out of what. It's just not even worth talking about. So let's be realistic about it. Let's be timely. Timely is important because we want to have a time-bound period of when we can say, I'm going to measure, I'm going to go back to measure and see how I did. Did I achieve my goal? Did I make progress towards my goal? Is it timely enough to where I can say, is this something I can even understand? Like for instance, some people say, I want to make $1 million in real estate investing. We just round up to $1 million and we just say in real estate investing. We don't say when by. Well, if you say I want to make $1 million in real estate investing and I want to do it within the next 2 months, and you have nothing going on in your business right now, well, guess what? First off, you're not being realistic. Hey, you have a time, but you're not. If any of these things don't work, guess what? The goal doesn't really exist to me. Like I shouldn't even consider that to be a goal. These all have to make sense. So it has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And so essentially, guys, let's be honest with ourselves. What do we have that are actually SMART goals? And if you don't have any SMART goals, guess what? Now's the time to create those goals. A lot of people confuse like time management, which is like this theme that people talk about, time management, managing your time. I mean, there's people that are administrative assistants for executives and companies that manage people's time, that like literally are the ones taking care of scheduling meetings, so on and so forth. But if I'm the person whose time is being managed, I don't really want to manage my time. I want to control my time. So controlling my time means that I set the standard basically of what it's going to be, that where I put my focus, where I put my energy, how I spend my day. My hours are more valuable than my dollars actually. Okay, the amount of time I spend on something is more valuable than any dollar I could ever invest into something. So you want to think of the concept of controlling your time versus managing, in the sense that we have other obligations outside of investing. We have other obligations outside of things that we actually care about that mean less to us than what we're trying to set out for in our goals. So you have to be willing to control your time enough and set it and take your goals that you're setting out for, and then control your calendar and do things like scheduling and blocking your time so that you can actually achieve the things you set out for in your goal setting process. If you don't actually have time controlled in your life, where you have the ability to block out time and say, I'm going to spend an hour or two just on this thing, or 3 hours on this thing, or 20 minutes on that thing, and one of those things you're trying to set out to schedule and block has to do with a goal that you set up for yourself. Like, easy example is if you took a calendar, for instance, guys, right? Let's take our calendar. It's not going to be to scale, right? We're just going to do a pretend calendar for a second. And we got two colors here, so let's check this out. We got red and green, just happen to be sitting on the whiteboard. I didn't even put those there. They were already in this room. Let's say green's the thing that I want to do, the thing that I'm setting out for, the thing I have a goal for. If my calendar looks like this, okay? If that's how my calendar looks, I don't know if you can see it, but it's green in one little box and the rest of my life is all red, well then guess what? If we got like 10% of our time, well, let's say it's 5% of our time, and that's what we want to do, right, in this box. And this represents our whole life and how we spend our time, right? The 168 hours a week that we're blessed with to have. And this is 5%. Then the rest of our time is 95%. I'm pretty sure anybody that's, again, a smart individual, kind of ironic, right? Can tell you that, guess what? You're only spending 5% of the time doing what you actually set out to do or what you want to do. And 95% of your time is being consumed by things you don't really care about or have any interest in. That's a problem. So we have to find a way to shift that. And there's a lot of complexity to it, but in the simplest form, you have to be able to control your time, control your calendar, and make time for the things that actually are more meaningful in your life. So you have to get it from being 5% down to where you're spending most of your time. Obviously, you might have some things in there that are not still what you want to do, but let's say we go from 5% and we get up to 25%, and this changes to 75%. And then the next month, we look at our calendar, and hey, guess what? We're making progress. Now we're at 50%. And this is 50%. Don't you think that life's going to feel a little different when you're spending half your time as opposed to 5% of your time? Literally 10 times the amount of time you're spending now doing the things that you care about and that you are concerned with and that you set out for in your goals. By the way, goals don't have to be just business goals. These things can be actually personal things, like your family, like your relationships. If those are not documented somewhere or outlined somewhere for yourself to understand what it means to have, what you're setting out for with your personal relationships and things, and you're struggling in those relationships, or you're having issues in those relationships, you're struggling in certain areas of your personal life, then maybe, just maybe, it might be a good idea to sit down for a second, take a debrief, okay, and actually look in the mirror, or not actually look in the mirror, just sit down and look at a paper, right, and take a pen and write down, this is what's going on in my life right now. This is the kind of feeling I'm having. These are the things that are not happening in my life, and here's what I want to change. Here's the goal I have for myself, to create a specific, measurable, attainable, action-oriented, realistic, and timely goal to address this part of my life. Because a lot of times, we forget that in real estate investing, we focus so much on the deal, we focus so much on the dollars, we focus so much on the outcomes we're looking to generate that we forget about actually ourselves sometimes. We forget about the fact that we're doing all this for the purpose of us feeling better about life and about what we're looking to do in life. Scheduling and blocks means this, guys. I don't have an eraser, unfortunately, in this room. That's one thing we're going to get over here. But let's say this is another calendar. Okay? You guys with me so far? I think you're with me. Okay. Pretend this is calendar, okay? It's 5 days for the week. And we're looking at, pretending this is 9 o'clock a.m. and this is 9 o'clock p.m. Whatever the number, it doesn't really matter the times actually. What we need to do is we need to be willing to say, I'm gonna split this block here into 2 parts. The first block is gonna be for personal, P for personal. Okay, I'm gonna get myself ready for the day, I'm gonna get myself gathered, I'm gonna start doing things I need to be focused on for my personal well-being. The next block is gonna be business, B for business. For instance, right, so I'm gonna spend an hour on my business in the morning and get myself started for the day. The next block might be for some people, J for job. And you might have a bunch of J's if you have a job. J, all the way down to like 5 or 6 o'clock. And guess what? If you really want to have a goal that's smart and you want to change things in your life in a positive way, you better sure have another B after your job, or at least have a couple P's there. It should be a lot of B's and P's on this calendar. Those are the 3 things you're putting. So maybe you have some time to spend on your business right after work, on your way home from work. Then you spend some time with your family, yourself. You could put an F for family, for instance, or P. And then you have business time between the time that you spend with your family until when you go to bed at night. And then from there, maybe you have some personal time, just a debrief, just to like sit down and relax, maybe meditate or pray. Like, this is a really good, easy way to break down your calendar. If you look at this again and just count up the number of letters or count up the time that those letters represent, that's how you'll know, again, this percentage split between what's going on. So at the end of the week, you say, here's my P, my B, my J, and my F maybe for family. And I'm spending, 10% here, spending 10% here, I got 60% here, and then I got the remainder, which is another 20% for family. And to me, that doesn't look too bad, right? But let's say this was actually like 90%, which it is for most people, and there was no business, and there was like practically no family. That's where life sucks sometimes, right? Life is just not fun. So basically, you guys got to realize that this all is way more important than any real estate investing conversation we can have right now. Like, if you're not doing stuff like this in your life and in your business and in your life, it doesn't. I can't even express to you how important this is compared to anything you learn tactically speaking. Did you predict based on past actions? No, we don't want to predict anything based on past actions. We want to define and control our time. So forget about what happened yesterday. Okay, you can acknowledge it and know that it existed and it brought you to this point for some sort of reason. But guess what? You need to control, like, starting right now. Like, step up to the plate and control your life, control your time, and say, you know what? I'm going to change, because anything that's significantly going to impact you in a positive way has to be dynamic and abrupt in a way. Like, it has to shift your pattern, basically. Like Tony Robbins says, shift your patterns. What's going on? I got somebody on Periscope. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, man? Listen, so basically, it's not based on past actions, okay? We have to basically define what we want, design your life, be controlling of your own life. Like, you're not controlling someone else's life. That's not a good habit to have, is to control someone else's life. But be willing to control your own life, okay? And control your business and control your everything. Control everything about what you're focusing on. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. If you could do me a favor and share the broadcast out to everyone else and kind of tell folks what this is all about. We're more than just a real estate investment company. We're obviously here to help you guys out. We're here to help hopefully dynamically shift your life in the right direction. You come across paths with us for some reason or another, and we appreciate your focus and time. We do this every week at 5 o'clock. It's not always the same conversation, obviously. It's always different. And it's always interactive, which is pretty cool, and we enjoy you guys coming here. So find us next week at 5 o'clock on Periscope and on Facebook Live. And if you're watching this video on the replay, we appreciate your time and focus and hope to see you soon. Check out the links below the video and you'll find out more about what we do at our company. I appreciate you guys and have a great rest of your day, and God bless.